prayer, and how sometimes prayer can become quite boring period of time, as we do it habitually, we do it every single day. And if we don't know its power and its purpose and its ability of effect, then it can affect how we pay attention to prayer. So there was a rabbi that walked into shul, that walked out of the sanctuary after mincha, and he sees these two boys aged 8 and 9 looking by the plaques. Shuls have plaques. People who passed away, Nishmas, Yizka. And they're staring at these plaques, these gold plaques, and he sees the tears coming from their eyes, crying. So he's very moved, the rabbi. He asks them, what is it? What are you so moved about? Is there a relative of yours here? He says, we just don't understand. How did so many people die? He says, oh, well, these plaques are for those who died in the service. He meant in war. And the child said, I understand. That's why we're wondering. Which one? Was it Mincha or Myra? So we didn't want to die in davening. We don't want to fall asleep, which is like a 60th of death, and have lack of enthusiasm. So we're going to begin our journey of the Gemara. And afterwards, after we're done this Gemara, we're going to learn with Rashi and Tosfos like they do in yeshivas, and then we're going to go into this Maimer, and this will be the proper background for us to get into it. Again, the synopsis of the Maimer is that the Maimer, or the subjects that the Maimer explores, is why we have daily prayer, the effect of daily prayer, and it combines it as well with the uniqueness of Kaihanim and the effect of Aaron and the Kahuna and Birchas Kaihanim, and the uniqueness of that. They're both related. So we have a Mishnah in Maseches Rosh Hashanah, page 16, Tes Zayin Amud Aleph. The Mishnah states as follows, the famous Mishnah, it says the following. Ba'arba'a prakim ha'olam nidin. The world is judged in 4 different periods. At 4 different times, there's judgment of the world. So that's already a chiddush. Most people, if you ask them, when is the world judged, they say Rosh Hashanah. And is there any other day? And they say, no. I mean, Yom Kippur, it's finalized, it's sealed, but that's it. There's no other day of judgment. So first and foremost, the Mishnah already tells them, not true. There are 4 times of the year that judgment takes place of the world. Everyone with them? Okay. But Pesach Alatua, on Passover, the grains are judged. Ba'atzeres al peres, on Shavuos, peres ha'ilun, fruits of the tree are judged. The Rosh Hashanah, this is going on the 1st of Tishrei. Kol b'ay olam, oivim lefano k'nei barim. All the creations of the world pass in front of God like sheep following the shepherd. Shenemar, as it says in the verse, Hayetzi yachad libam v'kol ma'aseim, that Hashem watches the hearts of all of his creations. Ubechag, and on Shavuos, nidunon alamayim, water is judged. Sorry, Sukkos. Sorry. Chag is Sukkos, of course, and on Sukkos, water is judged. Okay, so basically each one of the festivals, very interestingly, is a judgment day for something else. Rosh Hashanah, humanity, or Kol B'Elim, even animals. Sukkos, which is the next online, is water. Pesach is wheat, and Shavuos is fruits. And the Gemara, after this, going into a discussion of what type of wheat is it talking about, then goes into the following. Mani masnisim. This is usually the way of the Talmud, is to try to discover and analyze who is the author of the Mishnah. And the reason why they do that is not because it's so important to know and to attach a name to a Mishnah. If it was that important, Rabbi Yonasi would have done it. But rather it's because, you see, when we have a variety of opinions, then we want to find out who is this Mishnah following, so we can know, well, maybe they're also following, since this is the author, so maybe it would also mean that the halacha is like him in this related matter as well. So the Gemara here is going on a quest to discover who is the author of this Mishnah. Mani Masnisim, who wrote the Mishnah? And it says, Rabbi Meir, it couldn't be Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda, and it couldn't be Rabbi Yehuda. Well, Rabbi Yossi, it couldn't be Rabbi Yossi. Well, Rabbi Nassim, it couldn't be Rabbi Nassim. See, we're going through process of elimination, and it says it couldn't be any one of these four Tanaim, and the question is, why not? Well, because they have a documented opinion to be contrary to that viewed in the Mishnah. What is their opinion? The Brisa says, Tanya, Hakol nidunin b'Rosh Hashanah. Everyone is judged in Rosh Hashanah, Ugzar din shelahem nechtam Yom Kippurim, and their decree is signed on Yom Kippur, Divrei Rabbi Meir. These are the words of Rabbi Meir, and this is basically how we all hold today. Rosh Hashanah is Judgment Day, and Kippur is Signing Day. Now, why does the Gemara say this can't go according? He's not going according to the Mishnah, because the Mishnah doesn't mention Yom Kippur, and he does. Rabbi Yehuda Eimer can't be like Rabbi Yehuda, because Rabbi Yehuda holds Hakol nidun Rosh Hashanah. Everyone is judged in Rosh Hashanah. That's similar to the Mishnah. Ugzar din shalem nechtam kolach v'echem b'zmanei. B'Pesach al Tvua, b'Tzeres al Peres, Eilim b'Chag, Peres Eilim b'Chag nidunin al hamayim. Rabbi Yehuda is of the opinion that everything, including water, grain, and fruits, is really judged in Rosh Hashanah. So that opposes the Mishnah. It sounded similar, but in truth and detail, it's opposing. Because the Mishnah says, no, the fruits and the grains and the water is all judged separately on their days. Well, Yehuda says they're all judged in Rosh Hashanah. It's just that they're sealed on the other days. Now comes the other two opinions, which is what's most important for us in this lesson. Rabbi Yossi Eimer. Rabbi Yossi is of the opinion, Adam Nidan b'chol yom. A person is judged daily. As it says in the verse, and Hashem remembers us for judgment every morning. Think of it like a roll call. Rabbi Nassim goes a step further and says, Adam Nidan b'chol shah. A person is judged hourly, an hourly roll call. We're going to Chanenu, as it says that God speculates by seconds. So it can't be either of these two who are negating what it says in the Mishnah, that man is judged on Rosh Hashanah, not every day, not every hour. So now the Gemara asks the following question. Amar Rabbi Yosef, Kaman Matzlina Ma'idna. According to which opinion do we pray today? Prayer. When we ask God for requests. If somebody's sick, Aktsiri. How do we, according to which opinion is it worthwhile, is it meaningful, is it purposeful to daven on behalf of an ill individual? According to which opinion is it effective? Damari, and according to which opinion do we daven for Talmidei Chachamim to be healthy? Kaman Rabbi Yossi. The Gemara answers like Rabbi Yossi. When a person davens for something, he's davening like the opinion of Rabbi Yossi, because Rabbi Yossi holds that there's a judgment every day. But according to the Mishnah and the other two opinions, the judgment is on Rosh Hashanah. So what are you davening for? It's a closed case. It's too late. Same way we find the Mishnah in Berachos writes, it's forbidden for someone to daven at Tfilas Shav, which means that it's forbidden for somebody to daven for something that already happened that it shouldn't happen. The example mentioned there is that if he sees a fire in the city, he shouldn't daven, Hashem, please make it that house is not my house that's on fire. It's on fire. You can daven, please make it go out, please make it not spread. But to daven that it shouldn't be my house, it's a done deal. That's like after the elections are over and decide. It's like, imagine somebody never knew who won the elections in 2016 in America. He was so turned off, he hid himself underground, he just came out. And he's been praying all day that it shouldn't be the candidate he doesn't like. That's a tefillah shah. It's a done deal. It's finished. They're trying to overturn it, I understand. But it's a done deal in essence. There's nothing you can do. So that's called the tefillah shah. Anything with the past of tefillah shah. So according to the opinions, which hold that everything's judged in Rosh Hashanah, not every day, not every hour. It's closed, it's a done deal. How can you daven? So the Gemara says that it's go according to Rabbi Yossi. In other words, that according to the Chachamim, prayer doesn't really have a place. Doesn't really make sense. Doesn't have a need, doesn't have a purpose, and shouldn't be done, seemingly. By saying, but the Gemara gives another approach. And really we can say that the prayer that we pray for a sick person and other needs is going even according to the Mishnah, who holds that man is not just daily, but on Rosh Hashanah. Rabbi Yitzchak, and this follows the other statement of Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak stated, Yafet Sa'aka La'adam Ben King Zardim Ben Lachagzam. Rabbi Yitzchak stated that a davening to God, praying to God, is always beneficial for man. It always can bring fruit. His prayers can be heard, whether before the decree or after the decree. Now, this Gemara is a very strange Gemara, and it should actually leave us with more questions than answers. If we accept the notion that the Chachamim are on board with davening daily, because, as we just said in the name of Rabbi Yitzchak, you can break decrees even after decrees, the one on earth is the whole idea of a decree. Then what's the difference between before and after? What's the big deal about Rosh Hashanah? You can't tell someone, you can't sell them, come to shul for the high holidays, your whole life is judged, everything is signed and sealed, and this is it, it's now or never. And then the day after Rosh Hashanah, you tell them, by the way, in truth, you can really overdo everything. The appeals court is always open, and you can always change everything. So what is it? It kind of, this last answer kind of weakens our perspective of Rosh Hashanah, the power of Rosh Hashanah. And in the first approach, it completely makes no sense. We know there's a rule, Safek Baruchas Lahakam. So how can I say in davening, Baruch Ta Hashem Azali Chashon, Baruch Ta Hashem Leifechaim? It's only according to Rabbi Yossi. What we daven according to Rabbi Yossi, and we say Bracha Levatal is according to Chachamim. So we're not alone in these questions. This question is addressed by Tosfos. Tosfos, the German Rishonim, on the side of the Gemara, write the following. According to the first answer, which says that davening goes according to Rabbi Yossi, Tosfos asks, what are you talking about? Are you saying that when we daven Shemoneh Esrei, it's not going according to Chacham? Of course it's going to Chacham. They established it. Rabbi Yossi didn't establish daily prayer. Anshe Knesset Agdayla did. So of course they agree to it. A further contradiction, difficulty. We brought in the books. One of them was Rabbi Yehuda, who says that man is judged in Rosh Hashanah. This same Rabbi Yehuda states elsewhere that in Masechah Shabbos, that if you visit a sick person, you should daven for him and say, may God have mercy on you and on the sick people and on all the ill of the Jewish people. So we see he agrees that prayer helps even after Rosh Hashanah, even though he stated earlier that people are judged in Rosh Hashanah. So this is his question on the first answer, which said it's only going according to Rabbi Yossi. Rabbeinu Tam offers an answer. He makes a differentiation. He says like this. The difference is to the details of the decree. How far has the decree gone? According to Rabbi Yossi, the decree hasn't gone far at all. So you can daven for everything and anything, every day, including that the person not get sick. So I can daven for people to stay healthy. According to Chachamim, if the person was decreed in Hashem to get sick, that's it. It's a done deal. You can't daven for them not to get sick anymore. However, what you can daven for is for them to get better, as that has never been decided when and how they will get better. So Tosfos here differentiates between the level of the decree. He then gives a second answer, which says that praying in public has ability to destroy the decrees, even according to Chachamim who say that it's decreed in Rosh Hashanah.
What does that mean to break in public?
Sorry, I mean with a minyan, yeah, and with the community. Field the rabbin, praying with the community. That's the end of this Gemara, and is everyone satisfied with everything they heard? Or does something sound out of place? Does everyone understand what they heard, or what I said? Maybe that's the better question. Do it again. Repeat it again. The bottom line that comes out of the Gemara is as follows. We all thought till now that Rosh Hashanah is a day that everybody agrees is Judgment Day. Comes along the Mishnah and the Gemara and pops our bubble, not once and not twice, but a few times. Number one, it says, hey, it's 4 times a year. Everything's judged. Not just Rosh Hashanah. Number two, it says, not everyone agrees that everything's judged on Rosh Hashanah. Some say there's a daily judgment. And Rosh Hashanah sounds like, according to BAC, when he walked into shul for the high holidays, he laughed. What's everybody doing? What's everyone getting worked up about? Every day is Rosh Hashanah. Every day is Judgment Day. There's no difference. Is this really true? Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Nassan, they didn't have a machzor? They didn't daven the special Rosh Hashanah prayers? They didn't believe in any of this deep, widespread philosophy of Rosh Hashanah being Judgment Day? They honestly disagreed with this? Such a fundamental concept is honestly a Mishnaic debate, a debate amongst Tanaim, not accepted by all. That's our first issue. Our second issue is with Chachamim, as we already mentioned. Is it really true, as Tosfos asserts, that according to Chachamim, which is how we rule, that you actually cannot daven anymore for someone not to die? You cannot daven for someone not to get sick. Your ability is only after it already happens to try to ease the situation. Your prayer should ease the situation. Or as we said before, when you pray with a minyan, then it has the ability to break the decree. And is that really true, that it can really break a decree and overrun and overrule whatever happened in Rosh Hashanah? Then that dilutes the way we looked at Rosh Hashanah. So all of these questions and issues will be addressed in this Maimer, as we will see. The Alter Rebbe, based on Torah Chassididus, gives us a beautiful new hashkafa, new perspective on how all these things work, on how prayer works, on what prayer affects, on how it affects that the requests that we bring to God are answered, and how Rosh Hashanah maintains its very powerful and meaningful and important status, despite the fact that daily prayer also has some power. So let's begin the Maimer. The Maimer is on page, right, you have it in front of you, it's page 55b, Nun Hey. Anyways. The Kutei Torah, it's the last Maimer of Parsha-Korach. So good old Korach, he, as we know, every year he does the same thing. He starts a big fight with Moshe. He wants to take over the priesthood. He wants to be the Kohen Gadol. And he led to what happened. Hashem created a new creation. He gets swallowed together with all of his men, of his family, in Dasan Aviram. And ironically, Bnei Yisrael are still not satisfied. I thought something like this can only happen today, where God can make an outright miracle to show that the path someone's going on is wrong, and a person will still ignore it. Like, for example, it says that when Kriyas Yamsuf occurred, even the biggest Afikarsin, their hearts melted like babies. They couldn't withhold, and they believed in God. But the Rebbe Rashab said that the maskilim of his time were of such tough heart that if they were in the times of Kriyas Yamsuf, they would be able to still be kosher. They will be able to still be heretics. Theoretically, if God were, let's say they created one of the most public and publicized pride parade in the world, and God does a miraculous natural disaster in the area which shakes the whole world to pieces, will people be aroused in truth? Will people start saying, whoa, this is a sign from God? I would assume so. And listen what happens with Korach. Korach starts up with Moshe, argues on the Kahuna, starts a whole political rebellion. God creates a miraculous creation, swallows them in front of everybody, and what's the very next step in the Torah? The Yisrael come to Moshe and say, Lama henisam am Hashem. Why did you kill the Jewish people? And you ever think and question why we're called an Am Kshei Orev, just go back to this episode.
Sounds like today.
With a few people. But the truth is,
I think the left would be raring to go.
I actually honestly believe that many people would do tshuva. And we see, how is the whole tshuva movement? How is it so? How do you have so many people come about tshuva? They see a little bit of spirituality, they're bought, that's it. They're bought in.
Well, that started after 67 wars, that here in Israel anyway. It was a big, it was a hisarus from something so dramatically miraculous like that. But
right.
A pride parade, I don't know that.
Okay. In any event, so bottom line is that they needed another proof. So Hashem said, no problem, guys. No more opening up grounds and swallowing everybody. We tried that, it didn't work. We're going to do something a little different this time. We're going to have everybody present a staff, each shevet, one staff per tribe, and place it in the Heichel, place it in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, and whoever's staff will grow beautiful produce, that will be a sign that he's the one chosen by God. So we know the story. Aaron HaKohen's staff was placed in the middle, everyone else was to the right and to the left, and Aaron's won the beauty award, and therefore it was proven to everybody that he is the chosen one of God. So the Alter Rebbe asked the following question. We're in the Maimon. Korach mate Aaron. What was the beauty contest? What was the victory of Aaron's staff in the beauty contest? Meaning, what was seen on it? It grew almonds. Aaron's staff grew almonds, and no one else's grew anything. So they knew he won. The Alter Rebbe asks on this, why did Hashem choose specifically almonds? Some people like almonds, some people don't. A lot of people are allergic to almonds. Doesn't Hashem take into account people with allergies? Right? But why almonds? There's a lot of delicious fruits out there you could have created. Kiwis, or maybe some tropical fruits, or a whole bunch of them. All types. That would have really been a miracle. Well, what's with the almonds? Why did Hashem specifically choose this fruit? Obviously, the Jewish question on this question is, well, if it would have been a different fruit, you would ask the same question. It's true, we would, because everything has meaning. So if this was chosen of all the fruits, then what's the meaning? So that's the first question. And the Alter Rebbe here begins going into the significance of or uniqueness of the almond fruit versus all the other fruits, and how it relates specifically to the claim against the kahuna, against the priesthood. And that's why specifically an almond was chosen, as it contains a hidden message. Now, an almond is not a true nut, based on what I was explained by a botanist. It is called I forgot the name, it's a different name in English. It's not a true nut, it's not a botanical nut, no. If you go to a botanist, you tell them, do you have any nuts like almonds? They'll look at you like you're crazy. Are you nuts? It's not a nut. It's not a nut. It's part of a different group of I forget the name. There's an English name for it. There's a name that covers.
Different than walnuts or
Correct. Walnuts is debatable if it's a real nut or if it's under hazelnuts. Like hazelnuts is a real nut. Hazelnuts. No, peanuts are fake nuts.
It's a label.
There's a list. You can look it up. I'm not.
sorry.
You can look it up. It's not really important. I just wanted to mention that it's not really a nut, the shkadim. So in other words, that this is it's very unique in this type. It's a unique fruit of this type of fruit. In any event, so what is the uniqueness? Hine, we're in the Alter Rebbe. We're in the Kuteter. Shkadim heim amarim ligama yesim kolaperis. The nut is the quickest to ripen, to finish its growth more than any other fruit or grain, such as olives, grapes, figs. All of them wait a long time till they ripen, and we can benefit from them. As is written in Kehelis, in the Medrash Kehelis, what is the sign, the significance, the uniqueness of this almond, of the almond tree, of the almond fruit? Mishah. It takes a total of 21 days from the time that its flower begins to be seen, the blossom of the flower, the bud of the fruit, until it's done. 21 days. Imagine you can get with our lemons, from the start of our lemon bud till a whole nice, juicy, thick lemon, 21 days. Be a machayim. They take a long time. They take their time. They take months to grow. And so on and so forth with all the other fruits. Mashenk in the shaked, he goes very quick. And this is exactly why it was given this specific name. As the term shaked, which is the name of this non-botanical nut, is quickness, is alacrity. 21 days. Kamasha Kasav, and this idea that we see that it's number one, takes 21 days to grow, and number two, that it's called a shaked due to that reason, can be seen in a verse in Jeremiah, in Yirmiyah, which we're going to read very soon. Hopefully not, because Mashiach will come, but if not, we're going to have to do this Haftarah of Gimel Paranias, Parshas Matis Maseh, in which we say, Makil Shaked. Hashem showed Yirmiyahu a staff, an almond staff. And why was it a Makil Shaked? It says in the Nevuah. Why did he show him that in the prophecy? To give a message to Yirmiyah, to tell the Jewish people that the punishments are going to come very quick. And indeed, from the start of Yeshiva Sabbatamuz till Tisha B'Av, how many days are there? 21. Exactly 3 weeks. And this hints to the kahunas of the Alter. So first we've established the uniqueness of the almond versus all the other fruits. And now that that's established, we're going to use this uniqueness of its alacrity and quickness of growth to connect it with the kahuna and why Hashem specifically made it be shown on Aaron's staff to prove that he was the chosen one for the priesthood. Kehine. Now what Alter is going to begin explaining the connection between Aaron HaKohen and almonds. People ask, what do Kohanim and almonds have in common? It sounds like a joke. But this is what the Maimer is going to do. Kehine. Aaron Eisius Nira. The name Aaron can be intertwined, can be changed around to spell out the word Nira, which means revealed or appeared. Shal Yodei Hayu Kol Hasgalus Vam Shachas Ha'eres Van Amalam. Why was Aaron's name incorporated of the word Nira to make appear? As through Aaron HaKohen, the revelation and drawing down of all the sublime and supernal lights were accomplished. To below. They were all drawn down below. So Aaron's function, Aaron is basically a pump or a channel or a pipe in which he funnels the elikus that's up in Atzilus, and he sends it down here. Makes it get revealed. Now, this sounds a little strange because, as far as we know, God's the one who does this. I mean, if there's no elikus coming down from Atzilus to the lower worlds, there's no worlds. The worlds can't exist without a likus. So what do you mean Aaron is going down the likus? There existed a world before Aaron and there exists a world after Aaron. So how can we say Aaron is in charge of drawing down the godliness from Atzilus? That's giving him almost a creator type status. So the Alter Rebbe is going to take a little break now to explain in depth and in length how the hamshachas work from the upper worlds to below. And we're going to learn that there's a status quo, there's a natural way of how things work, and then there's the special kahuna way of how it works. And the special kahuna way is what Aaron accomplished versus the natural way. V'hinei, hamshachas hanamshachim al yodei, hanamshachim erei mamalas ad lamata b'mehiras gedola b'li shum mikul. The uniqueness of Aaron's ability to draw down a likus from above to below versus the natural descent of a likus from above to below, which occurs regardless of Aaron, is that he has the ability to draw it down super quick. The regular transport car that takes the likus from Atzilus all the way down to our world is one of those old Beetles that break down and don't always make it to their destination, or like a nice Jewish Volkswagen driving up Friday afternoon to the Catskills, which ends up on the side of the road about 5 times an afternoon because it broke down. So naturally, without Aaron, we have not such good engines and horsepower to drive the likus from above to below. Aaron has a super speeding car. Aaron has the newest speeding car. He can transfer things momentarily. So it's speed. That's the uniqueness of Aaron. The hamshachas that are drawn through Aaron HaKohen, they come from all the way above to all the way below on a super jet very quickly without any equipment. This is something we're going to elaborate on more. What does this mean? I never knew there were even cars upstairs on Atzilus that have to take it. What is going on here? So we're gonna delineate this later on. Hine kasav birchas hamazon hazanas ha'elim kula betuve v'chein mechesedius mishav matuve chastal yen mashpos gashmi. So chlius uridas achesed b'shtal shmadrigas rabbis ma'oid achis abe hashpon imenu al chesed gashmi. So let's explain what's going on. There's different types of godliness that come from the upper world to help fuel the continuity of the lower worlds. One is bare existence. The fact that something exists is because there's elikus being pumped into it at every moment. Now, just because something exists doesn't mean that its existence should be in a specific way. For the existence to be successful and to grow and be powerful and fruitful, that takes an extra shot of elikus. Such as, for example, if you have a fruit tree in your backyard. Some of you do?
Yes.
Okay. So you have fruit trees. So the common denominator between that fruit tree and all other trees is that they all have, so this rimon tree right here, the common denominator between him and everybody else is that they all have a nitzutz, they all have a hamshach of godliness that makes them exist. If it was gone, they wouldn't exist anymore. However, can we compare the quality of this tree right here, which I can't see, so I don't know its quality, with the quality of other trees of lesser or lower or better quality? No. But what's the difference? They all receive a likus. They're all alive. They all exist. So why is there a difference in how they grow? As an addition to the basic fuel that a creation needs to simply exist, it also needs, and which by the way comes from Seviv Kalam, it also needs a Hamshacha from Mali Kalam to define its quality of existence. So in the fruit tree itself, in order, let's say we have an orange tree, and remember we grew up with an orange tree in our backyard in Miami, and for some reason the oranges were always on the sour side. Now, usually that's called a grapefruit, but it wasn't. It was literally an orange, just more on the sour side. And I always wondered why that's the case. Florida is known for its delicious, juicy oranges that are sweet, a little tangy, but sweet. And for that reason, they are the 90% producer of oranges for the entire United States. So why did my backyard tree not get to have that sweetness? So this mimer answers that dilemma, that question I've had ever since I was a little kid. These are the mysteries that we discover after we learn for a while. Again, answer. And the answer is as follows. In order for a fruit to become sweet, it requires a special hamshacha v'likus. Well, that's a concept I've mentioned many times. It's mentioned in Chassididus many times. That's repetitive in Chassididus. It requires that the chesed of the likus and chesed of atzilus to come down, and here, let's translate the words, very specific words. Alter Rebbe says here, he says the following. When we say that Hashem, in Birchas Hamazon, that Hashem provides and sustains the world with grace and with kindness, in order to create from it goodness and kindness, this means the following. This requires Yeridas HaChesed, the descent of Chesed. In other words, first off, to get kindness and sweetness, it needs Chesed of Atzilus. So it's not just enough to have the regular Malchus of Atzilus giving a likus, as then it will just be bland and we'll have no taste. And this chesed goes off on a journey and has to pass many different levels until it thickens. It's unbelievable the words we just read. The elikus in chesed of Atzilus, it doesn't descend below and give instructions. Hey, you, Rimon right there, get sweet, please. I'm from God. I have the power to command you. No. He metamorphosizes into sweetness, into the fructose that's now in that fruit. So when you're eating a sweet apple, you're literally eating a piece of Chesed of Atzilus. Think about that. It's a very rare lashon, this lashon of the Alter Rebbe. Until the likus that came from Atzilus thickens until it becomes physical chesed. Okay, so now we've understood how it works and how things get sweet or get sour or get in the way they are in this world, as they need that extra hashpah that comes from above. So what does Aaron have to do with it? By the Aaron shu bechinas nire or haynu yishia nimshach hashpah sachesed b'nehirus shelo yisakev b'ayim asvi b'shtal shemuch lias nimshach b'emat shimshach v'yiskal lamata kim ya'over nimshach der v'nimshach derech heim b'nehirus mebli akava b'hem. So what does Aaron accomplish? Aaron accomplishes that this R that set off from its journey from Chesed of Atzilus to make your pomegranate tree sweet will make it to its destination without any impediments, without anything blocking it on its journey. And it'll be done quickly. As naturally, without Aaron, it's not so simple that this Chesed of Atzilus that came down will actually make it down. And that explains the issue with my good old orange tree that was on the sour side. Chesed of Atzilus for that orange tree there was some delays. years of delays, right? And never made it for some reason. Not always does the chesed or whatever hamshpah is coming from Shemayim, coming from Atzilus, manage to make it all the way down.
Maybe they start from him.
Uh,
Maybe they start from
that's true. I don't have knowledge of if it did start or didn't start. I mean, I can't assume it did start because
it's blocked on the way, but maybe Hashem did the reason
that is, I cannot argue with you on that possibility. It's true.
I know that in Morocco we have sour oranges and we used to make salads with it. Very,
And where?
specific.
Morocco.
Which is also famous.
Oh, Morocco.
Also famous for oranges.
Okay.
So it's another type.
All the theories are possible. It's all possible. In any event, the point is that even in a case where there is a hamshacha, hashpah of chesed atzilus, it's making it down. It's going down from atzilus. It may not make it into the actual orange tree. This process of the metamorphosizing, the changing chesed of atzilus to become sweetness of fructose doesn't always happen. And this is just a mashal of the fruit, but it's with everything. It's all blessings of life. It's possible that it was decided upstairs to send this person this blessing from Chesed of Atzilus, but something's happening that's stopping it from continuing its journey. What is it that may stop it? That we're going to go into soon. But what Aaron does, let's just assume we understand already that there are all these roadblocks from Atzilus to Asiyah that prevent Chesed from coming down. What Aaron HaKohen does is that Aaron, he has a special diplomat's passport, and he gets free entrance to any country he goes to. So when he escorts these hashpahs, when Chesed of Atzilus is coming with Aaron HaKohen in his baggage, then he stops by the world of Bria and they let him right through. World of Yitzira, Asiyah, till the fruit, first class flight, no problems. No heckling, no problems, no fights on board. Without Aaron, it may not be the case, and we have to discover why. What are the issues that may come up with the hashpah on its way down? So this is going to be in the second part of the Gemara. Alter is going to discuss this.
Is only Aaron in Kuhn?
Throughout the beginning of the Maimer, it's discussing specifically Aaron, but it in truth applies to all Kayanim, as we're going to learn at the end of the Maimer regarding Birchas Kayan. It doesn't mean that all Kayanim have this power right away. I mean, with all of these, different babot out there, we shouldn't have now Kayanim start opening up stores, selling their services of quick blessings. We learned it's a Maimer. We have the power of quick blessings. So, why go to the babot? Come to us. We have the special powers. In truth, this special power today, meaning past Aaron HaKohen's time, is only found during priestly blessing, which we will see. So this is where and this connects the almonds to the Kayan and to Aaron. As Shkedim grow very quick. Aaron brings the Hamshacha, the Ashpah from Chesed Vatzilus down very quickly. So it remains to be understood is that why do we need Aaron? Why is there anything blocking between Atzilus and this world and preventing the Chesed from coming down? That Aaron fixes, and why does he get to fix it? Why is he able? Why does he have this power? So all this will be explained coming up. To understand this matter of the impediments in the world that prevent Amshach from coming down, if not for Aaron HaKohen, we have to introduce a question. And this question may sound familiar. In the Yedua HaKushya, there is a known question. It is known the question. Ma'u shemavakshim b'chol yain. Ma'u shemavakshim b'chol yain mispalim l'feinu Hashem baruch Aleinu. Why is it that we pray every single day and daven, heal me Hashem and give me parnasa, etc., etc.? Hari ikar dina shel ha'adam Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippurim. The main judgment of man is Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. As Tosfos himself asked this question. Sound familiar? So this is the question of the Gemara. This is the question of the Gemara, and later the question of Tosfos. How can we say that according to Chachamim, you don't need to pray daily? Or according to Chachamim, why do we need to pray daily? The answer to the question is as follows. And by the way, this question has broken the heads of many Gedolei Yisrael throughout the generations. This isn't a question that was started by Chassididus. We already said the Gemara asks it, Tosfos asks it. And it's a very deep philosophical question. It almost sounds like a complete contradiction that there's no way out of. And many have given different attempted answers. And Farshi, Gemara, gave different attempted answers. We already saw some of the answers of Tosfos. And there's other answers that are also given. And here in Chassidus, we have, this is why Teres Chassidus or Kabbalah is called Chochmas Ha'emes, the wisdom of truth. As it doesn't need to find a theoretical approach to answering the question. It just tells you as it is. This is the reality. And this is why things don't contradict. That which was written and sealed in Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, this merely means that chesed was drawn down to a soul. And this chesed that was drawn down to his soul from Ein Sof still remains above in Malchus of Atzilus, which is the source of the lower world's B'riyas Yosef. This means as follows. Until now, we were under the impression that Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, God decides you're going to make $4,000 a month, $2,000 a month, or $5,000 a month. Are you going to be completely healthy or not completely healthy? Is a person going to stub his toe once a year? He's not going to stub his toe. We think Hashem decided everything and all those little nitty-gritty details. That's what was decided, Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. And if that's the understanding of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, then we have the valid question that we started the Maimer with. Then why on earth do we need to pray daily, or what worth is it, or how is it not a blessing in vain? It was already decreed. So here comes the Alter Rebbe to fix this misconception. Yes, Rosh Hashanah is a very unique day, and there's something that happens Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur that cannot be changed, cannot be fixed, cannot be turned around, and that's why it's so important. However, what this matter that happens Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur is not the finalization of a physical decree, what will happen to you physically in this world. Rather what? Every single matter of blessing in a person and creation's life is fueled by a likus. It needs a likus for it to happen. Just like down here, in order to buy something, we need money. There's nothing you can buy without money. Everything needs currency, needs money. So too, upstairs, in order to get a blessing, you need a likus. Nothing happens without a likus in cash. So first and foremost, on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, there's a judgment. How much elikus is each creation deserving of? How much elikus each creation have? And every single creation passes before God, and God decrees, you're going to get 1,000,000 watts of elikus. You're going to get 100,000 watts of elikus. You're going to get 1,000,000,000 watts of elikus. And all that remains in the watt level of Malchus of Atzilus, that to us physically means nothing right now. Very similar to if we had a trust fund opened up for us by our grandparents, and they placed in it $1 million, and you were so excited. because you were already dreaming about the Ferrari and the mansion and all the trips you're going to take. And then when you come to the bank and ask to dip into the funds, the bank tells you, didn't you read the words and the small words on the bottom of the page? It says on condition of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, only when you're over 80 years old and only if you've had already 20 grandkids and only then they're going to open up the trust fund. So how happy are you going to be with this money? It's not accessible. It's nice, it's okay, I understand, but it's completely irrelevant because it's not accessible. So it's nice that my grandparents thought of me, but right now it doesn't do anything for my life. What we receive in Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is only in heaven. It's only in Malchus of Atzilus. However, there's chance, there's possibility that trust fund that Hashem opens for every single creation on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, the amount of money, alikus, he places in this trust fund, we may never get an access code for to access all of it. Some of it we'll access, and some of it we may not be able to access. We'll continue inside. And this is the meaning of what's written when we say that Hashem gives us in benching grace and kindness, His kindness, meaning Chesed of Atzilus, Chesed Elyon of Hashem, which is way, way, way above any Ashpal Gashmis. So if you were able to take a trip, let's say you had special protection, special connections, and on Rosh Hashanah you were able, mamish, to make it up to Malchus of Atzilus. You see everything going on. And it came your turn, and you see how much your neshama got. And you walk over to Malchus of Atzilus, and you said, so how much money are my children going to be healthy? And I can be able to pay tuition for yeshivas. What are you talking about? What are these things? They don't know. All they know is that you have this amount of cash of alikus in your Malchus bank account. It's like similar to calling up the bank and asking them, how many apples do I have in my account? Apples? I mean, Apple Bank, that's true.
I don't think they have apples either.
I don't think they have money either, and that's a big problem. So, Malchus of Atzilus, Chesed Elyon, Chesed of Hashem, what's the good Hashem Yom Kippur, they're in a different world. As is known from the fact that Avinu stated that I am earth and dust, earth and ash. Avinu stated, Shama Avinu al Chesed v'Abba Shalosh Edim l'Chesed Atzilus. Avinu, who was a representation of Chesed of Atzilus in this world, stated that in comparison to Chesed of Atzilus, I am like earth and ash, meaning completely incomparable. And so to here, there's no connection between Gashmis and Ruchnius, and therefore what we got in our bank account, our trust fund, or Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, it's not translated into Gashmis yet. So now we can understand what the purpose is of the daily prayer. The daily prayer complements this lacking. How do we get access to the funds? If it wasn't decreed Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, what's going to be? Then when is it decreed? That's the daily prayer. That's the daily judgment of Rabbi Yossi. וצורך להשתלשל ולהיות בהשתלשלות מדרגות רבס ויכולת הפיום איכל עד שיסעבל יסחסתי מעניינם גשם רבס החילו דרך השם. In order for this chesed of Atzilus that's in Malchus, in your Malchus bank account, to make it down, it needs to go through the whole trip. It needs to go through the Heichel, right? We like thinking of it as just as three worlds, so what's the big deal? Pass through Bri, it's your Nasi, and you're done. You come to us. Not so simple. Every world has millions of Eichalis that it has to pass through. So it's like one of the craziest mazes that we've ever seen. It has to go through the whole thing. Until Achias Abba, until this chesed of Atzilus that's in Malchus, of our bank account, metamorphosizes and thickens into chesed of physical matters. So it can give a refuah for a chayil. And so it can give a bracha for parnasa. It needs to go through this process.
That's good. So I mean, nowadays it's not just a child, it's righteous, the other person does it. So like what is it, Sheila?
Say it again.
They're not davening, so I
Who?
mean the Rishayim.
Oh. So you're asking, how does he get anything? How does he bichlal survive? So it's a daily judgment. The same judgment that allowed him to be born and exist. You know, if God was a military sergeant and he just, every time somebody did something wrong, he court-martialed them, there'd be no one left in the world. I wouldn't be given the share. We would have the share somewhere else. You know, none of us would be here. So God has a lot of patience and a lot of chesed. And so, you know, he has his way of judging. And even someone who doesn't pray, that we're not saying if you don't pray, you don't get judged. The prayer helps and assists and benefits of the judgment will be proper. But obviously someone who doesn't pray is missing out, tremendously missing out.
But he still could be getting the Gashmis, the Chesed, the Gashmis is happening.
I agree with you. I mean, he's breathing. Today he
He's
lived.
making a lot of money. Nothing's happening to him. And
Since when is right? So he's making a lot of money, but that's not always a bracha. So they'd be a club.
no, I would know that.
Not always.
Yeah, money isn't always a
So
bracha.
yeah.
It's tough to be a wealthy person. It's not easy. We discussed this.
No.
We had a share on it.
So later, but as a person as well.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
real,
it's possible to receive
a lot of
brachas.
people are real low. I mean, we don't have to say.
Right.
At least I mean people that are
Praying a lot too.
praying a lot too, right?
Right. So, you know, we're not saying here.
So okay, well, we can't go into this question.
I remember you asked this question in a number of classes. Right. It's a famous question of tzaddikim v'rabbai, v'shayim v'tovlei. It's a famous question of all philosophers. So you're in good hands. And many people dealt with this question. But I just want to clarify.
It does have an effect either now or later. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is like this. No one ever stated that that if you pray, then you have, that's it. You got your PIN, you got your code for the account, and you're now taking out, you know, $1,000 for the day. We didn't say that. What we're saying is that if you have a likus in the bank account that's accessible, then prayer assists in getting it. Now, in the end of the day, that's not the final say. Your prayer is not the final say, but it helps. It helps that it can, right? Rabbi said you're judged every day, so it'll help to lean the judgment for good. This doesn't mean that it's a free-for-all and you can just pray and get whatever you want. Think of it like this. We go back to the mashal, right? So we had this trust fund set up by this grandparent, and the grandparent's still alive, so you can talk to them. So I can pick up the phone and say, listen, you know, today I need this amount of money. Can you please give me access to it? And they can say yes or no, right? You know, but if you don't ask, then they're not going to give you access to it. Now, in the nimshal, even people who don't pray, we still see them getting brachas often. But that's because in the end judgment of that matter, they won the judgment that they should receive this. And Hashem has his cheshbonus of why and how he does things. However, praying assists. Praying helps. It helps to bring it down. It's you know, you can say the same thing. We have people who never see doctors in the health, and you have people who always see doctors in a sick one. You have people, honestly, you have people who, they eat only healthy, they don't eat anything that has MSG or any of the big E's, and they, no food coloring, and they're mamish, what you can call total, complete, certified health freaks. They get the worst, amongst them, just like.
Bottom line is we don't know anything.
So no,
And that's with the
no.
money.
My point is now with someone. If someone comes to me and says, you see, this guy who led a healthy life, he went jogging every single day, never ate sugar, never drank a soda, an ice pop, kept a completely healthy life, and he was middle of jogging at age 48, had a heart attack and died. So now you're going to convince me not to eat my daily bowl of ice cream and my double hamburger and go visit Heart Attack Grill in Nevada?
Okay, yeah.
It's a restaurant
Okay,
chain
okay, fine.
that they guarantee death of heart attack by age 25 if you eat by them every day.
What's it called?
Heart Attack Grill. So this person's an idiot because obviously,
Well, they think the other people.
yeah, that's fine. They can think that, but here we said we're talking the truth. The person's an idiot. So because you had someone who, his specific situation, he died, and a healthy life didn't give him a longer life, that doesn't mean that keeping a healthy life doesn't have proven statistics of lengthening life. Meaning that we see illnesses that are caused due to obesity, that are caused due to imbalanced diets that can be avoided if they weren't done. So otherwise the whole world just becomes a free-for-all. Everything, there's no rules, and everything becomes, unfortunately, that's the direction that some people go. There's no science, there's no rules, it's just everyone makes up everything they want. But it doesn't work that way. I never wore a seatbelt, and I'm alive, and he wore a seatbelt and he died in a crash. That's a svara to not wear a seatbelt. Okay. On this Chazal state, the man is judged daily, meaning Rabbi Yossi. He's judged based on his current actions. Today, is he fit to have access and receive the trust fund Elikus that's been set up for his account in heaven, or not? That trust fund that was set up on Shani Yom Kippur, is it befitting for it now to descend? Yes, to go down through all these levels and all these eichales, or not? In order for it to be drawn from spiritual to physical. Or perhaps, the man is not fit to receive this. And what happens to his trust fund Elikus that he worked so hard for on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur to get, that now he doesn't have access for? And this Elikus will not descend below. It'll stay in his bank account of Malchus of Atzilus. And one day, when he goes up to heaven after 120 years, he can check in. He can cash in on those points. He'll be able to get extra pleasure in Gan Eden from that. Due to that, the chesed was drawn to him.
So if that's going down this way, you're diminishing your spiral and related?
If you take out money from your bank account and buy something, are you diminishing your bank account? Yes, you are, by definition. But we need to live. We can't be stingy. We need to live. And don't forget, it's an investment. By drawing down chesed and using it to invest in mitzvahs, we then get more chesed the next Rosh Hashanah. It's an investment. So you got to think like a businessman. Now, someone who says, God, I don't want to use up any of the chesed of Atzilus, so, that's called Balkor Chatacha. You have to live against your will. You'd rather not use up chesed of Atzilus. You'd rather have all the money stay in your bank account, but you don't have a choice. You need to get some of it. But this is the reason why you can understand why it says in Chazal, don't rely on a miracle. And don't put yourself in a situation that you're going to need a miracle. As even if God does a miracle for you, you've used up a lot a lot of money from your trust fund. Because for miracles to happen, you need to have a tremendous amount of elikus from your account to come down. So we don't want, when we do things a natural way, so everything has a set amount of elikus from everyone's account that comes down. But to do things to break the rules of nature, that's already something a lot more serious, and it uses up a lot more of his money. That's the famous story that's recorded at one of the Tanaim, Talmidei HaZayhar, of the Rashbi. He was poor, and his wife was complaining that they're poor, so he davened to Hashem, and poof, he found a golden-legged table. He could sell it, make millions. And his wife, when she saw this, was even more upset. She said, and now we have this here. When we go upstairs, we're going to have an empty account. We just emptied out all of our savings. So she told him, send it back. And he did it. He davened again. Hashem took it back. And it says that God will the nace of taking it back and the nace of giving it to him. Because Mishamayim, it's from heaven they give and they don't take. We're now going to read in parentheses. The author is now going to explain the Gemara. Now, although in the Gemara it states that the idea of being judged daily is only the opinion of the Yisrael ben Asan, according to the Chachamim, that's not the case, and we're only judged once a year. So how does this Alter Rebbe's whole pshat make any sense in the Gemara? They're machlekes. Some say the judgment is in Rosh Hashanah, some say the judgment is every single day. What did the Alter Rebbe say? There's two judgments. There's a general judgment in Rosh Hashanah, and there's a particular judgment every single day, whether it's going to get drawn down daily. But that's not the Chacham's opinion. So he says no. So first and foremost, says the Alter Rebbe, you misunderstood the machlekes. Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Nassan do not argue on the premises that there's a special judgment occurring on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur that does not repeat itself any other day of the year. And therefore, even though they said there's a judgment every single day, that doesn't exclude the uniqueness of the judgment of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. And he proves that they must agree with it, as even they have a pasuk in scripture which says, it's going on the 1st of Tishrei. The pasuk says this is a day of judgment for the God of Jacob. They argue on that, on a pasuk? Of course not. And also they agree that on Rosh Hashanah you have to hear Lo Shofar and Mach Zechayin Shofars that we do on Rosh Hashanah for the sake of Hashem hearing our prayers and making a decree. So they can't argue on this concept. If they are in the concept, Hashanah would be like any other day, and they don't agree it's like any other day. So certainly they agree to the Chacham on the premises that Hashanah is Yom Adin for mankind, for the world. Nonetheless, in addition to this main judgment that happens with Hashanah, the Yossi and the Menassan emphasizes also a daily judgment. As we just explained, that the daily judgment is whether to draw this down or not. And just like we explained, the Rabbi Yossi and Menassan are not arguing with Chachamim, and they're just saying that there's an additional necessary judgment takes place daily. So to the Chachamim aren't arguing Rabbi Yossi and Menassan. Even they agree that in truth there's a judgment every single day. As even according to Chachamim, we ask all the requests in Shemana Esrei. We don't say it's a bracha batala. Even according to Chachamim. So if so, then we're off with the question. So if we now said that everyone agrees, so what on earth are they arguing about? It's like a lot of arguments. If you actually sit down and hear the other person, so often you see that this heated debate was literally about semantics. Like when you boil it down, it's like, what we're really arguing about is that we hold the same thing, but you're saying it like that, and I'm saying it like this. You know? You're saying to directions to go to the stores to make a right and I'm saying it's to make a left, and we're talking about two different directions, so we're both correct. So what's going on? So I understand between us, we get very heated with our egos, and therefore we get into arguments over anything and everything for the sake of arguing. And I once had a big argument with somebody, and after I explained to him, we are not arguing, we hold to the same thing. So he says, well, then what are we arguing about? Like, we have to be arguing about something. Well, in the Gemara, if an argument is recorded, there's got to be some argument there. We can't say the whole same thing. So he says over here, he doesn't go into it here in the Mimer. He says, this is discussed elsewhere. The answer of what each one is holding individually, that there is some point of debate between Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Nassan versus the Chachamim, but in the general scope of things that we explain, everyone's in agreement that Rosh Hashanah is the main judgment day, and the daily there is also a separate judgment in order to draw down what's been received on Rosh Hashanah. So now we have to understand, what is it that makes it so difficult for the chesed of Atzilus, for the money that's sitting in the trust fund of Malchus of Atzilus, to make it down here? Today you go into your app, you press send money from this account to that account, and 5 minutes. We did it today. They sent an email. It says it's going to take up to 5 minutes. I don't mind. Oh, I can wait 5 minutes from Malchus of Atzilus to down here. Right? So what takes so long? So I understand there's a lot of worlds, but let's not forget, it's not a person. It's not a UPS man that's standing up in Malchus of Atzilus that has to walk through the whole maze and he gets lost. It's Elikus that's coming down. It's Elikus. It's not, it's not FedEx. So explains like this. Why? Why doesn't it work so quick? I understand you need to go all the way down through all the chambers, all the worlds, and thicken into Chesed Gashmi. No problem. So do it. Do what you got to do. Do it quick. What's the problem? Here's the secret. There are border patrols in each world and in each chamber in each world.
What are the chambers?
The Heichalis, every single world contains myriads of Heichalis, chambers, like worlds. Worlds within worlds. Just like we have a universe, which includes everything. It's an all-inclusive term. Then we have galaxies within the universe, and we have planets within the galaxies, solar systems within the galaxies. So within each world, you have many worlds in essence, right? So within the world of Yetzirah, it's not like, don't think, if anyone ever offers you a trip to the world of Yetzirah and back, they're lying to you for other reasons as well. But simply because there's no such thing as just go to Yetzirah and come back. To get a full tour of the world of Yetzirah, you have to go through myriads of worlds, myriads of chambers. There's no time. Even Moshe Rabbeinu, he's been in Gan Eden for 3,000 years. Just imagine, isn't he getting bored? Honestly, isn't he bored? 3,000 years in Gan Eden? He's not bored because every tefillah he goes to another world. And there's another world to be shown. Every prayer down here of Shachris Mincha Ma'ariv, the Neshamas in Gan Eden, go a step up. They're always traveling. Ein Menucha. That's why they never get bored. Just think, another flavor of ice cream just discovered comes out every few hours. Another tainug every few hours. So Moshe Rabbeinu is not bored, and it's infinite. So for Chesed Atzilus to make it all the way down, it has to pass along. But that still doesn't answer the problem because, okay, it's Elikus, it can do it. The problem is that in each and every heichel, and especially in each and every world, there's a very strict acceptance policy. They have very good immigration. They have very good border against immigrants from Atzilus. or from Bria. So when Malchus of Atzilus gets packed up and gets sent to the world of Bria, first and foremost, the border patrol of the world of Bria says, why should I let you in? What do you mean? I was sent on a mission, don't you know? Pliny ben Pliny, he's supposed to be getting a nice, beautiful mansion, and this is the money that I'm going to provide him in the business deal he's going to make in 2 months, that he's starting today, for him to buy the mansion. Says, who did you say? This man, the guy, Pliny ben Pliny. Well, let's look him up. And they start a whole process of cheshbon and doing the cheshbon on the individual. And it could be that the world of Bria will say, listen, buddy, we don't want this guy. We don't like him. We don't want his ashpah coming through. The world will say, no problem, we checked them out, you can continue. And this happens in every single heichal. So there's a myriads of judgments going on, whether to allow Chesed of Atzilus to pass or not. As it's not just like, what do you care if I enter your country? What do you care? What do you have to lose if I enter your country? What am I going to do to you? Why do I need a passport? What am I going to do to you? It's not like that. Each world has to work on this Chesed of Atzilus to define it, to reshape it, to transform it. It's a lot of work involved. So to ask Chesed of Atzilus to travel, okay, it's traveling. But now when you want to ask Bria to start working on it, Bria wants to know, why should I? And when Bria makes a decision and does the work, and now it enters Yetzirah in its Bria packaging, Yetzirah asks, okay, it's very nice you decided to accept him and work on it, but that doesn't obligate me. And therefore there's a new judgment on each level. And they look into his judgment, whether he's befitting to receive it in every level of the world. And every single world you have the many mekatrigim, the prosecuting angels, which say, no, I saw him do this, he did this aveira. It's a lot of Bali Lashon Hara. That's their job. The prosecuting angels, they're up there and they're always making problems. So these are the setbacks. It's not a setback. The Chesed of Atzilus is an old UPS man with a broken Volkswagen truck. It's the person himself. Chesed of Atzilus is fine. It's a rocket ship. It can make it quick. There's the judgments is the problem. So now that we understand how the normal set of things works, which by the way, this also, the way we understand it can also explain the difference between prayer today and the prayer back then. It says back then when a Jew prayed for something, it came right away. Immediately, his prayers were answered. In times of the Beis Hamikdash, whenever we daven, it came. People wouldn't abuse it because they know you can't abuse the system. But you can't daven every day. God, give me $1 million. If everybody did that and everyone got $1 million, then $1 million would be worth nothing. Mm-hmm. So you can't abuse the system. But everything that people pray for, it happened. It was people had direct contact with God. It was like a button.
And those borders.
1 second, but that's because when they daven, it went straight through. It didn't get stopped by the border patrol. However, today what happens is that our prayers all have an effect. There's no such thing as a prayer in vain. However, that doesn't mean that the prayer has the power to draw it all the way down. And that's why sometimes a prayer can be answered years later. Mm-hmm. It just Pasha took many years until he went through all the bureaucracy of the upper worlds. So now the effect of Aaron. However, when the Chesed of Atzilus is coming down from your bank account through an escort called the Kohen, Aaron and his descendants, the Kohanim, when they perform the Siyas Kapayim of Archim Asam, they bless the nation Birchas Kohanim. As I Shefa hinim sheches b'mehirus, then the Shefa comes down quickly. They send the prosecuting angels to bed. They give them a vacation. They leave. They don't stop this chesed from coming through. Derech kol ha'olam passes all the worlds be'ein meineya u'ma'akiv, with nothing holding them back. Ein ma'ayinim b'din klal. They don't open up his book at all. They let him through. It's a free pass. Skipping the parentheses. So this is the tremendous power that the Kohanim, Birchas Kohanim contains. Shouldn't take it lightly, Siyas Kavan Brachas Kohanim, the Kohanim, they go up, they say a nice blessing, Baruch Hashem Yishmerecha. They're Pashut giving you a speeding ticket, not a ticket, not fining you, they're giving you a speeding car to take your Amshacha of Chesed of Atzilus and bring it all the way down to you.
We should be praying hard at that moment.
Well, we should be, the halach is that you're supposed to focus on the words of the Kohanim and pay attention. It happens automatically. You don't have to, we're not supposed to talk.
No, I know, but since you're saying that this is, the blessing is there, we should.
Yeah, they're taking care of it. Don't worry about it. They're drawing it down.
I shouldn't have a kavana of what we desire.
Have the kavanah to fulfill the mitzvah Birchas Kohanim as you're getting to mitzvah to be blessed too.
Yeah.
So have the kavanah to be blessed and pay attention to the words. But you don't have to start going into, okay, God, well, now's the time. I need this. I would like to have a special orange tomorrow, and I would like to have good peanut butter. You don't have to think about all those details.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the Kohanim. They're going to bring it all down very quickly. And this little concept of Birchas Kohanim, bless you Hashem and guard you. Yivarecha means that Hashem blesses you with money, Hashem blesses you with children, which is A, to have physical children, B, to have healthy children, and C, to have nachas from your children. V'yishmerecha min hamazik, and Hashem guards you from the damaging forces. Meaning that the blessing of the Kohanim affects that the Amshach from Chesed of Atzilus comes straight down quickly, that it automatically enters into physical blessing of children as husband. So Yerashim Panav is referring to that Hashem will show His countenance, His love to you. Is that it is drawn all the way down. Okay. So now we have to understand, now that we've built already, we've answered so many of the questions, clarified so many of the points, the Alter is now going to explain why the Kohanim, why don't I have that power? Why doesn't a Kohenis have that power? Why doesn't anyone but the Kohanim have that power? Why doesn't Korach have that power? Why specifically the Kohanim? What's so special about them that they have access to this special app that brings in the money right away? The root reason for why Aaron has the ability to draw down the chesed very quickly without any interference. This is because there are two different types of chesed. There's chesed oilam, which is chesed of atzilus, v'rav chesed, which is chesed of arich, of keser. What Aaron does is, instead of him drawing down the money, the currency of dollars from, or actually a better much would be, let's say the bank account carries yen, right? Japanese currency, or shkalim. You walk into any other country, you have to transfer it. You have to transfer it. You have to change it to the currency of that country. So that's Rav Chesed. So there's a whole bunch of impediments. There's all these delays until every country you go to, you got to change it again and again and again and again. The Amshach of Elikus from Chesed of Atzilus has to be changed and worked on in each world, and therefore there's a judgment. However, Aaron draws down from a world currency that's accepted everywhere, otherwise known as the dollar. And that's chesed of keser. That chesed doesn't need the transformation of the worlds of Atzilus. It makes it straight down. It's not limited. It makes it all the way down. It's accepted everywhere. In this case, this is an infinite chesed. And being infinite, it's not limited to, well, I'll be nice to you if. I'll give you a present if. There's no if, it gives. Therefore, since it's infinite, there is no din or mishpat that can hold it back at all. As opposed to chesed of atzilus, din. What's the neighbor of chesed of atzilus right next door? Gvura. So there is judgment that can delay it. Says that the parable for this is, if we imagine that there's a huge river, if the river is if the current is very, very strong, then nothing can hold back the current of the river. It'll go very quick. This is in contrast to rivers, which are not very large. At the Eitz and the Afa, you can direct the river to go, the channel, into different areas through placing wood and earth there. Until to the point that you can even build a building on it. You can build a bridge, you can build a windmill, etc. This is all if you have a calm current. But if you have a very strong current, nothing can hold it back. It continues going and it will just drown everything with it. This is what we see in tsunamis and in hurricanes. The water just takes everything. So too it is regarding Rav Chesed. Rav Chesed, not the supermarket, right? It draws down, it's coming down very quickly. All the dinim, they run away, they get run over, and become nullified due to it. This is the end of the Maimon. So let's summarize the points we learned here in the lessons. We began with a question, not in the Maimer, but in the lecture, of what is the purpose of daily davening if everything's a Kiddush Hashanah. And we answered, the Alter Rebbe answered, that each one is unique and has a special effect on the end goal of bringing blessing to the person's life. Hashanah Yom Kippur is super important because that's what gives all of the budget of a likus of blessing that they can potentially use for the rest of the year. That is such signed and sealed and can't be overturned.
If you don't tap into it during the year, what happens to it then?
That can't be overturned. So if we have, right, the trust fund was set up, this is what we have to use. We don't have any more money to use. But that doesn't mean we have access to the money. To access the money, to access the likus, we need to have a daily davening, a daily judgment, which is affected by davening, to decide how much quantity and quality to receive. And if a person at the end of the year didn't use up all of his godly dollars, so it's saved up. It goes to savings for Gan Eden. So everyone, when they go upstairs, they're going to see these huge savings. And where did this come from? So these are the savings that you saved up every year. With this, we explain the uniqueness of the Koyanim. As the Koyanim have ability to draw down the likus from Atzilus quickly to the point to make sure that you get the blessings you need, and it doesn't get delayed in between and stay up in your account instead of coming down in fruition. And the reason why the Koyanim have this ability is because they are rooted in Chesed. They draw down from what's called Rav Chesed. They are rooted in Chesed. They have connection with Rav Chesed, and they're able to make it come down very quickly. And this explains why, when Hashem wanted to show the Jewish people why Korach was wrong, and that Aaron was picked for the kahuna, he showed that an almond grew on his staff, as that represents this quickness and alacrity that's unique to the Koyanim. The lessons from this Maimon that we can learn in Avodas Hashem is, number one, obviously the emphasis that we must place on daily prayer and how important it is for drawing down the divine blessing from God. And number two is understanding the greatness of Birchas Koyanim and how it draws down one's divine blessing without having any judgments in between. That is the end of the Maimon.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, let's go.
Yeah.
Let it flow.